started.
Thank you guys. We appreciate that you're all here joining us today. If I haven't met you yet, I'm Tricia Christensen. I'm President and CEO of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce. We're really excited to be here sharing jointly in this with our partner over here.
And my name is Johnny Garcia. I'm the CEO and President of the Stanislaus Latino Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for allowing us to crash your party.
I hope we can do once or twice a year that we come together as two organizations to do some of these with a really rich opportunity for information. It's a great way to do it. So I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, or at least one of our sponsors for lunch, Steve Madison and Stanco. Before we go over to John and our presenter today, Johnny and I thought it would be really helpful if we took a moment and had everyone introduce themselves, just say who you are and who you're with, and we're going to kind of clean out the tables as we go.
Hi, my name is Abby Pendleton, and I'm a representative with Assemblyman Juan Albiza's office.
I'm Gavin Klein, I'm still representative for Congressman Don Wood's office.
Hi, my name is Patrick Shields. I'm still representative for Stanislaus Chamber Supervisor Manny Green.
Monica Flynn, I'm the Economic Development Manager for Opportunity Stanislaus and Stanislaus Latino Chamber Ambassador.
Erica Ignacio, Stanislaus County Chief Executive Office, Community Relations, and I'm also a board member of the Stanislaus Latino Chamber of Commerce.
Lucina Guzman Myers, I am the Director of Development Communications for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Stanislaus County, and also a foundation board member for the Latino Chamber.
I'm Sarah Corrigan. I'm with Commute with Enterprise, sales representative for Central Valley and Sacramento Metro.
I think this is the table with the longest collective. Okay, over here.
Hi, I'm Victor Randolph, and I work with ARVR, the River. I'm also a board member for the Stanislaus Latino Chamber of Commerce and the Foundation.
Rosalina Vieira, I'm a Series City Council member, also the Chief Staff Coach at Minnesota.
Hi everyone, I'm Lourdes Urande. I'm with Lourdes Urande Consulting Business, and I'm also an ambassador with Modesto Chamber.
Hi everyone, I'm John Costa. I'm a trustee with the Stanislaus Union School District.
I'm Eric Alvarez, Modesto City Council.
Jeremiah Williams, Modesto City Council. I'm trying to eat, so we let it.
That's some good food, yeah.
Kirsty Boyette, I am the chairman of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce.
Ramon Mendez, I work with CISPRO Innovations, and I'm a volunteer with the Modesto Chamber of Commerce on the ambassador office.
Saul Magaña, availability of professional staffing.
Lisa Woolworth, with Robert Half.
Lou Sanchez with Robert Half.
Victoria Fuller with Gadadal Insurance and an ambassador for the Latino Chamber of Commerce.
Hi everyone, I'm Blanca Pariawa, coordinator with Investigate.
I'm Erickson, visit Modesto.
Ken Sylvia, Executive Director of Youth for Christ, aspire to be as cool as Johnny Garcia one day.
Don't we all?
Nate Ramos, Director of Sales, kind of with the Swedes in Sherlock.
Matt Kaden, HomeSmart Real Estate.
Sari Alvarez from the DoubleTree by Hilton Modesto and ambassador of the Stanislaus Latino Chamber.
Marisol Barros, Group Sales Manager for the DoubleTree by Hilton Modesto.
Kelly Helen Martin, Senior Property Manager at Venture Mall and Chamber of Commerce Auxiliary Board Member.
Dana Ferrer with Modesto Irrigation District.
Cecil Russell, I think I work for Dana or Steve. Basically came because Steve's buying lunch.
Hi, Charlie Christensen, Mayor Price Financial Advisor, also Lieutenant Governor for Division 46, Modesto Once, and Mr. Trish.
Yo soy Emery Foster Farms and Professor of Business Economics from Penn State.
Steve Madison, I'm the Executive Officer for Stanislaus County Affordable Housing Corporation.
Amy McPhail, I'm the Marketing Manager at Vintage Fairmont.
Thank you guys.
John, you're up.
All right, thank you. So I am John Malone.
Introduce
yourself.
Important person.
My name is Adriana Garcia, co-owner of Gadadal Insurance Agency, and I help with the Latino Chamber of Commerce.
Stephen Shaw, I'm the Business Support Coordinator from the Modesto Chamber of Commerce.
So I'm John Belyant, you can call me Johnny. Garcia. So I am the COO of the Modesto Golf Commission here in town, and also I am the Vice Chair of External Operations for Modesto Chamber of Commerce and Chairman of our Executive Economic Development Committee. And so we're here, we do this once a month, not always here, not always a free lunch, but we do economic development, and we have guest speakers, the people that we think have something to bring back to business people in the community. And so we're all glad you're here. And with that, I'm going to introduce Dr. Gray Sotomayor. He's going to tell you how to pronounce his name because I can't. So welcome Dr. Sotomayor.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share our findings today. I'm told that I better be good. Because we're competing actually with UOP. Actually, Marcus has been doing that for a long time. I don't know if I'll be as good as he is, yesterday was Halloween. Have you heard your spooky story already? Well, if not, I have one here. Anyway, can everyone see? Pretty well? All right, well, I guess you don't need me to tell you that interest rates are highest in the generation. Yeah, I mean, they've been highest since the year 2000. That's one generation there. Just last week, the 30-year rate hit 8%. And then scared, and it's markets for the regular respond to that. And the 10-year hit 5%, same week. And the Federal Reserve is planning or thinking about at least further rate hike before the end of 2023. Why are they thinking about that? Because inflation has been stubborn and hasn't been going down to their desired rate, the targeted rate of 2%. Okay. In my opinion, inflation is stubborn because of price of gas. You all know. It is. And wages have been more than inflation. It's an exception. Normally, because it's on a year-by-year basis, there's a person bar loss. But after COVID, we've seen wages going up more than inflation. And so that's causing cost inflation pressure on the cost of each side. So as long as the price of oil is high, it's going to be hard for the inflation to come down to the desired level, regardless of that. Now, why was the economy doing so well? Because real rate of interest was negative. Meaning inflation was very high when the Federal Reserve started increasing rates. We were still facing negative rates, which wasn't having any impact on the economy at all in terms of slowing it down. Now, it's becoming positive since the rates have been out. Inflation has been going down from 8% to 4 point something. So now it's at 3.19, the real rate. So that's actually putting the brakes on some of the demand side economic activity. Now, declining employment, we're seeing that. Okay, we think that we didn't do that in a way back in April because the economy was getting really signal. Right now, signs are a bit more obvious. For example, if you look at certain individual categories like construction, we're seeing a declining pattern since January, back to back. The last time that happened was back in the Great Recession months or years. So that's very peculiar. So back-to-back declines, we haven't seen that in the usual categories. This is, of course, is the Great Recession, not counting COVID. The yield curve of the long-term versus the short-term. Long-term is supposed to be higher than the short-term. It's the other way around, but there's a lot of uncertainty. It still remains to be inverted since July 2022. And that is very accurate predictor of declining economic activity as pandemic coming on. It's very accurate prediction. Home value appreciation went down from double digits to single digits to 1.88%. So we do really expecting a correction there, and double digits cannot be sustained. So that's probably gonna, in the coming months, it's gonna start declining value. Mortgage demand, giving interest rates being high low since 1996. Now, how are these affecting the valley? We have a couple of published papers in the journal looking at the valleys, how the valley is being influenced with respect to national average when interest rates start to increase. Can everybody hear me well? No.
Hello? How's this? All right, okay. Wait a minute, okay. Yeah, so disproportionate impact on the valley, okay. When the Fed intervenes in the economy to bring it to a soft landing, meaning bringing inflation without generating a recession. Okay, that's they're targeting on a nationwide indicator. But when the economy, let's say, presumably soft lands, okay, and does not enter into a recession and slows down as the Fed wants, and then inflation comes down, the impact may not be the same for our vulnerable, economically disadvantaged areas like the valley. It may actually tip the valley into a recession. So the impact, nationwide versus region by region, is different. Okay, and so our valley is very vulnerable because about 75% of the workers here are unskilled, and they're the most in the front lines to lose their jobs. Okay? So this is the valley economy comprised of 8 counties, the entire San Joaquin Valley. So those are Stanislaus, right? San Joaquin. And there's 2 M's. What are they? That's Madera. Then 2 K's. Kings and Kern. And T, Tulare, and F, Fresno. Okay, so that's the official construct. Okay, so when you say San Joaquin Valley, that's the 8 county. Well, in the past they were asking me why not do it for Stanislaus, and I'll tell you later why we didn't do it. It affected our visibility as a school and how much grants we got. We got about $300,000 grants because we got grants from places like Kern County, and Kings County, Los Angeles, and we would be able to do that if our focus was just 3 counties or even 1 county. Okay. All right. So here, interestingly, this is the Great Recession, right? So if we were to extend this trend, this gap has never been recovered. Okay, so we're still suffering from that. And then this is the pandemic. But if you extend this line, as you can see, we completely recovered from the pandemic's impact. Now, how do we interpret this? The red line is the actual line, realization. The dark lines are forecasts. Now, instead of forecasting a point like J.P. Michaels, we forecast a range. Okay, it's more realistic. And then we have the pessimistic, optimistic, and right in between. So if the actual value falls between those pessimistic and optimistic values, then the forecast is deemed to be accurate. see a concaving pattern here, and it's an extension of this activity. Even though category by category there was continuous declines in construction, retail, whatnot, okay? Total employment since some other categories like leisure and hospitality services were still doing good because of revenge travel after COVID. The total impact was not clear. If I go back here, these here are seasonal peaks. Does anybody know when the seasonal employment peak happens in the valley? It's very agricultural related. Summer, yeah, July, August, and then September it starts to go down. All right. Now I was looking. We have a new report coming out. It's already being in production. It's going to come out in about 2 weeks. But I was looking, and see the seasonal peak here? It's less than that, right? Like you see this peak, and then this peak. Okay. So what I did is I stacked years. Okay, so this is 2022, 2021, and this is 2023. Okay. So normally we would expect the strongest, fastest employment growth to happen in July and August, okay? But when I looked, those months were negative. Not only they were negative, they were more than 1%, okay? So that's somewhat of a concern. So, continuous declines, and then this is 0%. Right after here, it's going like this, and it hits a peak, and then it starts declining. So employment here, employment levels are less than a year before. Okay? And in a month, that's supposed to be the strongest seasonal peak. So there's certain criteria we apply. For example, this sample average is the 22-year average. This is what this series does typically and historically. Okay, so it's like your blood pressure. Let's say you go to the doctor for checkups, and your blood pressure is, let's say, 138/78, right? And then one day you don't feel well, and you measure it. Let's say this day, and it's more than what it used to be to your benchmark. So you get concerned and take medication. Okay, so we always compare the yearly realizations to this average. And then these are the forecasts being optimistic, most likely. Pessimistic meaning it's going to fall somewhere within there. So what's been happening? Normally growth at 1.12% total employment. Wow, it's done really well, right after COVID to 2021. And now, wow, this is amazing. 5.05, almost 4 times as much, more than that. But then, mean reversion, it's not done well at all. 2023, down less than the long-term benchmark. Okay, so, and given the last realizations, we're predicting that there's going to be some decline in 2024, and then there's some improvement based on our projections, assuming that the Fed begins to decrease rates, okay, lower rates, okay, because it can't last that long. I mean, the rates have gone up so quickly and so fast to a level that is now at a generation high. I mean, that's clearly problematic, okay? And then normally, once the Fed starts conducting that kind of policy, it takes about 6 quarters to have the full impact, and we're right there, 6 quarters, okay? So we're expecting a decline and then an improvement, assuming that the rates begin to fall sometime in the second half of 2024. Now, this is what I was telling you about unskilled workers, right? Retail trade employment is the most vulnerable. Not only that, they're seeing an impact from online trading. So it's having that concave, and then it's stagnant, and then there's the pandemic. So it was having problems before, never recovered the Great Recession discrepancy. So we're seeing the, that new concave pattern there, likely to stay about below 160,000, excluding seasonal peaks during Christmas. And then, it's projected to decline 1%, slower decline in 2025. And I advise that because of online competition, there's a structural issue going on there. Construction employment, this is another one that has been decreasing since January of 2023, okay? So meaning it's not slowing, it's actually declining, okay? The great recovery after COVID, after COVID impact. But look at this, Great Recession. Where did all these workers go? They never got to recover. So it's not likely to pass 75,000 in the coming 2-year interval. Obviously, there's low inventory. Supply is very little, especially for our region, because there's people from the coastal areas coming in, settling here. But also demand, right? Demand is now very low, okay, very low. So not only supply, but demand is lower. So it did very well, 6 point something, 2021 growth, a lot faster than here, and now 7 point. And there was a clear decline. So we're expecting that decline to continue into 2024, and then slower decline. To keep it alive, because of the inventory problem. It's going to stay alive. Financial services, again, online banking is hitting the sector really hard. Some banks don't even have branches there. They're just completely online. Okay? So that decreases demand for tellers and all that. So never recovered from the pandemic, never recovered from the Great Recession, never recovered from the pandemic. It's just oscillating around this value of 41,000. So we see somewhat of a growth there, but it's stagnant, and then a little bit less. So it's supposed to stay right around there, not much growth. Wholesale trade, we're farm related, wholesale trade is farm related. Wholesale trade was actually doing good. 4.92, 1.58. But then it is negative here, so that negative is going to continue into 2024. And then we expect some improvement in 2025, but not all. Manufacturing, there's a heavy seasonality. So there are nationwide problems with manufacturing. Although our economy did better because of all these warehouses that's pumping up right and left, right? So it's done well. Overall, it grows very little over year, 0.47. But look at 2023 growth, right? 2.86, so that's phenomenal. Right after COVID. Of course, that has to do with, supply chain problems and all that, trying to catch up. So we do expect the, consistent with the slowdown and decline, we expect this to revert towards its long-run benchmark rate and then continue on. Single family building permits. Phenomenal growth, 2021. 22, 35% in 2021, and almost 13% in 2022. But then there's a decline. Okay, that decline is again quite worrisome. We expect that decline to get worse, about 10%, and then improve because of the lasting inventory and all that. It's going 21% growth, 2022, 21, 16% are double-digit cannot be sustainable. Why? Because normally it goes about 5 or 6% around there, right? So 3 times as much, 4 times as much. That's not sustainable. That's gonna. So, and as we expected, I mean, we in our update report in May we said it's gonna slow significantly, and then it did. Now it's in double, no more double digits, single digits. So that's a relief. That's coming down real long, and then it's gonna probably register a double-digit increase, and then start to improve the slower decline in 2025. The inflation rate, we've been actually very accurate after the pandemic. It's a very difficult series to predict. So, good. I mean, September reading 3.7, right? It's coming down all the way from 8.9%, right? That's good. And what do you want? For this region, it's 2.72 prices. You know, it's the cost of living is higher here, right? So inflation runs higher here than nationwide. Okay, so it's coming down not as fast as we want, but it's going to come down as the Fed predicts. It's going to come down to less than 3%, and then it's going to fall further to 2.52%. And that's going to induce Fed to hopefully reverse its policy stand and then start lowering, hopefully, interest rates. If not, then the adjustment will be much harder. I mean, there won't be an improvement in 2025. So we're thinking, we're not expecting a rate hike by the end of 2020, another rate hike. Average weekly wages have been running very high, 6% increase. Okay, so that's almost twice the rate of inflation, which is good. Real gain of purchasing power. It's about time. But it's for those new workers, right? I mean, if you're working and if you're not getting a raise, that's not really affecting you at all. Okay, so almost twice the high of the benchmark, 3.22. Fastest increase since 2020. Look at that. And because inflation is coming down, when inflation starts to come down, wages start to come down. So we use the term co-integrated part out there. So wages grow slow, going to grow slow, consistent with the rate of inflation, slow further in 2025. And then they're not going to do better than inflation, they're going to do worse than inflation, consistent with what it historically does. So right here I'm comparing yearly wage growth versus inflation. Historically lags behind inflation, and that's not the case last year, 2023, but it's going to revert to its structural pattern in the coming months. Total deposits, we're looking at the community banks, so we're not taking into account Bank of America or Wells Fargo, just the community banks. They're not getting any deposits. Okay, and that's normally, I'm going to show you net loans and leases. They grow hand in hand, and deposits grow a little bit more. But they're supposed to grow hand in hand if they're to be sustainable, if the bank wants to stay in business. Okay, but just like the Great Recession, we're not seeing any growth at all, and that's very concerning. Why is that? The inflation. Okay, inflation is running very high. So, as I said earlier, real rate of interest is negative, right? So you're not making any money if you put your, open a deposit account or CDs. You're going to higher yield investments, okay? Taking a bit more risk. And then there's this inverse relationship, right? Those of you that attended business schools, right? Price of bonds are inverse related to interest rates. Whenever interest rates go down, price of bonds go up, right? So all of those factor in, and banks are not getting any deposits. But since now that the real rate of interest is increasing and it's becoming positive, we expect the deposits to rise to their benchmark rate, and then slightly exceeding the benchmark rate in 2025. The net loans and leases, it's been increasing. Unlike total deposit, 9%, okay, 9.5, higher than the benchmark. So banks are trying to loan out, extend loan as much as possible to take advantage of higher rates. But it's not sustainable. They both seem to have a similar pattern. So we're expecting it's going to grow closer, lower than its benchmark in 2024, and then an increase and see just consistent with the sample average here, increase at that rate in 2025. So this is on consistency with deposits. Then we're looking at things like Valley Community Bank's assets in non-accrual, and then 30 to 89 days and 90 plus days. But these come with a lag. People are still holding on to their jobs. I mean, employment has been declining, but it's not at a critical 5.56%. So they're holding to their home, they're holding on to their jobs, even though last couple of months the accruals have been increasing, but that hasn't been recorded yet by the FDIC. So we're watching that very closely. But so that's pretty much all. I mean, in terms of the sectors we're looking at. We're looking at four categories being employment, and then housing, inflation, and then banking. So, just like the forming pattern, the decline is going to continue into 2024. The price of oil will be the main reason. As long as there's that the wars and regional conflicts, that oil price is not going to come down to $65 a barrel. So that's keeping it up. And then the Fed is trying to raise rates as much as they can to counter it. It's not to respond to the inflation as fast as they'd like. Home values will decline, non-accruals will increase at a faster rate, and this discrepancy between net loans and leases and total deposits will disappear. Strategies to pursue, I mean, interest rates, last year's report, interest rates were still low despite being upward trend, showing upward trend. So we're reversing now. We used to say, borrow, if you have flexible rate loans, switch to fixed. Now we're saying switch to flexible if you have fixed. Why? Because rates are more likely to come down, right? In long term. I'm talking about 10 or 30, right? But they go up. They cannot go more than that. Okay, so maybe one more rate hike, but they're going to come down. If they come down, if R is interest rate, if that comes down, price of bonds will rise. So if you buy bonds now and wait a couple of years and sell it, you're going to make a nice profit. Okay? So this is the go about, switch to flexible, so you're going to take advantage of falling rates in terms of your net pay. You're going to pay lower than interest rates go, obviously, low. And then gradually start buying bonds for the reasons I told you earlier. And you don't want to buy a home now, obviously, you can't. We're going to delay it. And if you're skilled, attrition at schools, attrition decreases and economic activity declines. Okay, so when people lose their jobs, they go to school. So if you go to school, one weakness, as I said, earlier, unskilled, right? Unskilled. So require a skill. Go to take vocational school, training school, get a skill, make yourself harder to lay off. But I didn't show you, but it's in the report. If you look at education and health services employment, that doesn't get affected at all. Not even during the Great Recession. It's very robust, like a ruler. Okay, why? Because you need to have doctors, right? During a recession, you need to have nurses, and you need to have teachers. So the higher the skill, the more difficult it is to get lose your job. And, yeah, so switch from base to place. And we've been doing this for more than 10 years now. And these are, more than 50 students have been able to find assistantships because of this project, thanks to foster funds. We've appeared in local newspapers, Sacramento Bee, Fresno Bee, more than 250 times. So that's, I don't think any other business forecast out there in California has appeared that many times. So that's our, I'm proud moment. And then we've gotten about $300,000, even more, grants, okay, from San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, from SB 1 related grants looking at commuters on Altamont Pass. And so we wouldn't be able to bring that much money to school if our focus wasn't the entire belt. So our purpose is to bring the positives, obviously, as much as we can. We have to be realistic. Each county, a lot of focusing on the entire valley. Now, Stanislaus County, having done this more than a decade, it does just whatever the valley average does. It's right in the middle. So whatever the valley average does, that's what Stanislaus County does. And then, so, yeah, it was interesting hearing in radio talks and whatnot. So that pretty much ends my presentation. Was I in the time limit? All right. I'll take your questions. Yes.
Most of your data seems to rely on the price of oil, the inflation and jobs and that. And yet, there's predictions that oil will get to $150 a barrel. You may not agree with that. I'm not sure that I do either. However, with the current war that's going on and that, and something happens to Iran, it's going to drive up the price of oil. And as far as I'm concerned, they just use all of your numbers this way. No, inflation will go up, interest rates will go up, it could crash our total economy.
Yeah, so decline, yeah, it's going to go. The economic activity is going to crash, correct? Yeah. All right, so yeah, I mean, absolutely, price of oil is very high right now. Now, is it going to go to $150? We don't know. We don't know that. Okay. Hopefully it won't. Right now, though, it's about $25 more than what it should be. Okay, and then those countries that are at war has to rely on income to support their war, right? OPEC Plus and Russia agreed to cut oil production in June 2023. And if you notice, there was a blip on inflation following that. Okay, so that cut, okay, in production is, having the desired effect, absolutely. Right? Is it going to crash? I hope not. But I did say it was a spooky story, right? So it's somewhat watered down. So yeah, I mean, it might go down to 150, it might go up to 150, and inflation may go up. But what is the Fed going to do? Is it going to raise it to 20%?
You also don't seem to take into account the coming election for maybe a new president, hopefully a new president.
That hurts. You can't take those into account in that business forecast.
Well, you're forecasting into 25, and a change in administration that would reverse the no drilling in that, have a huge impact on oil. It could change everything.
Election of the president? Election of a new president?
Yes.
Absolutely, I mean, I agree with you. Well, I mean, it has limitations. Question?
Yeah, I have a couple around this labor thing. And you use the term unskilled labor quite loosely. I'm not quite sure whose definition that is and what that means. And I put it in the context of, in the early days of the pandemic, the Central Valley had some of the highest employment figures in the country because we feed the nation. And our necessary labor was very high with all the medical, manufacturing, and production. So what defines, or who defines unskilled labor, which is almost, sounds like a derogatory term?
Bureau of Labor Statistics defines it.
So your forecast is using their information relevant to our economy? Just
Bureau of Labor Statistics provides the data for labor. So yeah, we're using that information. But if you don't have to know anything. For example, you don't know anything, and you go to it's just a high school graduate. Okay, you go and apply for go to Kohl's, and you want to help folding clothes, etc. So that would be unskilled. Or you go to a restaurant, apply, and you want to become a waitress or a waiter. You don't have to know anything besides basic skills, reading and writing. No, that's unskilled.
That's not true. But I get that you're...
Yeah, that's the definition. You don't need to have a skill or a degree.
Kelly's here. I'm sure her retail professionals would not like that. So when you mention the employment decline, isn't that what the Fed's trying to do? They want unemployment to creep back up in order to lower inflation?
No, because there is an official definition of, there's a definition, officially, what a recession is. Okay, a recession occurs when there are 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth, decline. Okay? So that's a recession. So the Fed's mandate is to bring down inflation without creating a recession. So that's a very big challenge, all right? Because you don't have to have a PhD or be Jeremy Powell. I mean, all you have to do is really raise interest rates and then crash the economy, and then the economy has corrected. Yeah? That's not what you're mandated. Your mandate is to bring down inflation without creating risk. That's the challenge. So if Jeremy Powell brings down inflation and it's a crash, we'll ask him, not me, okay? But that's the problem. I mean, Saltman, so far, he's been doing it successfully at a very gradual rate. But inflation has been coming down, and we haven't seen a recession. But we've never seen an economy coming out of COVID. And we've never seen a situation like this in the past. I mean, there were supply chain problems. There were so many things. Yeah. So, any other question? All right. Well, thank you very much. I have my email address, but if you want to ask questions or phone number, we are. How many of you have heard about the Northern San Joaquin Valley Surf, or Thrive? Raise your hands if you don't mind. Okay, very good. So that's the 3-county region economic development roadmap, 10 years. And we're taking part in that as Stan State, and we got in a pilot study on health disparities in the 3-county region. So we're looking at socioeconomic status and then how they have access to health care. For example, I've done a lot of research on this back when I was in Texas. So we're looking at things like diagnosed and undiagnosed depression. Okay, so we're asking, do you feel depressed? If you feel depressed, have you seen a doctor? If you feel depressed and they haven't seen a doctor, then obviously there's undiagnosed depression, right? How many of our residents are like that, and I mean, I've seen a doctor, and it's a curable disease and take the medication. Okay? So if you want to take part in that, please do your business card. We have an anonymous survey, and we want to reach all parts of the community. Last week we went to United Samaritans Foundation and surveyed the homeless. But we want to be able to access that. But it's a pilot study, right? If it gets approved, then there's going to be a full scale. So for pilot study purposes, the sample we're collecting will be relatively less. But yeah, do get in touch with me if you'd like to give me your card, and that's it for me.
I was surprised that we tried to turn it off so quick. Now it's turn it on. John, you have anything to add? Again, we all appreciate our groups coming together and sharing this opportunity to learn and hear some important information and what being done in Stan State.
Again, we appreciate everyone coming together for this, and sharing the opportunity to hear some information from Stan State, the work and the research that they're doing there, and appreciate the partnership that we had today to share in hosting this, and appreciations to Paso Colonies and David for preparing our food.
Again for coming and supporting. Don't forget December 14th, we're having our Stanislaus County multi-chamber mixer at the Doubletree, 5:30, 7:30. So we'll have all the chambers from our county be there. There is some leftovers still, and you can take out some boxes. So if you guys want to take anything home, make sure you guys grab it. There's a lot of that. So, but that's it. Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it. Jeremiah.
I'd like to make an announcement for November the 16th, the Keller Kickoff. If you haven't settled on a table, please do. It helps the Salvation Army in the endeavor for homelessness as well as the Red Shield. There should be about 900 people there, so you really want to make sure you get your table in advance, called the Salvation Army.
And make sure when you guys bring your money that you give it to our buckets. We are re-collecting as well too. So.
I told Johnny I learned one big thing. We both did it last year, I think, for the first time, and I wore heels, so I'll never do that again.
Just to remember, this Saturday, Stanislaus Union School District is having our annual book fair at Barnes & Noble and McHenry, so a portion of all proceeds will benefit our libraries. In our school district, our Prescott Junior High Orchestra and Band will be performing from 11 to 1. So if you want to come hear some music and support our libraries, please stop by, and you can also buy books directly for any of our schools. They have set out what books they're looking for their library. So we really appreciate any support that you have.
When
It's this Saturday.
Is there something specific happening on Veterans Day that we should be sharing?
They have a parade.
I'd like to get details on that.
And then
The parade starts at 9 o'clock, and then the festivities start at 10:30, and the Crusader Bowl, the City Bowl. So 9 o'clock is for the parade. It will be on Needham from 11th, 14th, I think, to on Needham all the way to the park. And they would love to have any of you to come and support all of our wonderful veterans who have service.
What time's the date?
We're getting
That is on the 11th, Saturday.
We had a few calls for it. I've been looking for a flyer to share, so.
I'll get you.
Yeah, share it with me.
And then also to, I'm sorry, if there's any nonprofits, on December 8th, we're having our 3rd annual carnival at the Lasso Mission. So giving out free resources, so if anybody's interested or to come out and help out, we're giving out over 1,000 toys for kids. Let us know.
What age do the kids have to be?
If you guys haven't signed in, please sign in.